Hey guys, this is Amal from TechLeatherCraft. In this video, I want to take a moment to talk about 3 hidden features of the Samsung Galaxy S10. Now this should work for the S10, S10 Plus, and the S10e. If you guys already know about this, cool. If you know of any other hidden features, be sure to post them in the comments to help people out that may have the S10. So to get right into it guys, the first feature you may already know about is to switch between apps. You have your most recent apps button here. You can actually use this to pull up all the recent apps, or you can do a quick double press and of course it will toggle between your 2 most recent apps. One thing the S10 allows you to do though is if you push on the home button and start sliding, you can bring up the task manager basically, or the app manager, and you can actually really quickly slide between apps. And so this is a really nice way if you have a hard time reaching across the screen when you're holding the phone one-handed to get to the most recent apps button. You can easily just reach halfway across the screen and start sliding in the right direction. On a side note, you could always reprogram your recent apps button and flip the back and the recent apps button around. I actually prefer to keep it how Samsung has it. I'm just used to using Samsung phones, I guess. Anyway, it's a really nice function for the S10 to have if you want to have a secondary option to switch between apps quickly. Alright guys, the second hidden feature is changing your flashlight brightness. You can actually make it brighter or dimmer, all kind of within the stock system. You don't have to download a third-party flashlight app. In fact, I recommend against it, just given all the malware situation and app permissions. I prefer to just stick with whatever's stock built in and only download apps as you need. It's actually built into the Samsung user interface, and so I'll show you how to do that really quick. Now, I like to keep my flashlight toggle up in the notification panel, and it's one of the first toggles I can toggle the flashlight on and off. It is a super handy function that I use a lot. One thing I did notice when I got the S10 is it didn't seem as bright as my S7 Edge, and so I discovered you can actually make it brighter. The way to do this is you have to use the Edge panel here. Now you do need to make sure that this is activated in the Edge panel settings. It is the Quick Tools Edge panel, and you want to make sure that it's activated so you can swipe out from the Edge and navigate to the Quick Tools panel. One thing you'll notice is there's a bunch of tools there. One is a flashlight. When I first set mine up, it was actually set at mid-level. I did actually end up turning it up, but what's nice is you can also turn it down. In the Quick Tools panel, what you can do is you can actually turn the flashlight on or off, and right below that there are plus and minus buttons. You can actually toggle those and it will actually make the flashlight brighter or dimmer. And what's nice is whatever you set that to in the Edge panel, it carries over, it kind of saves that in memory, and every time you toggle the flashlight on and off now using the notification panel, it is at that brightness. So you can always either use the Edge panel, but I actually find myself using the notification panel even more. And so what's nice is you can actually toggle that brighter or lower if you want. Now one thing I will mention is when you get to the 5th kind of outer ring, it is basically the brightest. It does give a little warning here about burning and the charger overheating or something. Basically just be aware you don't want to burn out your LED either. And so if you're going to be setting it at the highest option, use it in short increments. I mean, LEDs are pretty robust, but just in case, be aware of what it says in the warning. What's nice though is also you can turn it down using the Edge panel, and that's really a nice function. For example, if it's late at night and you are trying to navigate a room without waking anyone up, or if you're just reading or something and you need a really dim light, that is a nice option also. But basically whatever you set it to in this panel, it will keep now when you toggle your flashlight on and off. Alright guys, the third and last hidden feature that I have not seen mentioned anywhere in the Samsung press releases or anything is that the Samsung S10 does have an FM transmitter built in. And so it does have the hardware for that. It does not have the app. And so you can always go download an FM radio app, download an app that actually takes advantage of the FM radio hardware. The really important thing here is you don't want a radio app that uses data or Wi-Fi. That kind of defeats the purpose. The whole point is that you use the FM radio. The one I chose and the one that seems to work well is this Next radio app. Now when you're connected to a data signal like 4G or Wi-Fi, the interface has this really nice row of icons. You actually can input your zip code in and it will auto populate your local stations. It's really a user-friendly homepage. But if you don't have data, you can switch to what's called the basic tuner. It's on the side menu. You can actually toggle one by one using the plus and minus keys. You can toggle between the radio stations. The middle buttons that are arrows are basically like seek functions that basically will move towards the strongest signal frequencies that are coming in, and so you can kind of quickly switch between radio stations without having to go one by one if you want. Now, the main reason to have this, guys, is basically for emergency use, I think, or if you want to conserve data, if you're out and about and you have a favorite radio station you listen to and you don't want to use up a bunch of data. My main reasoning behind it was just for kind of emergency use when there's been a natural disaster or if there's been a local disaster. There's a couple points. It is nice to be able to tune into your local radio stations. And the other thing is that sometimes in natural disasters, things like Wi-Fi and your home connection, internet connection, and your data connection could either be throttled or it could be completely down. And so it's really nice to have an option like a fallback if something like that were to happen. Now, do keep in mind that the headphone jack does need to be plugged in. Basically, you plug in the headphone jack, and this is like the stock one that comes with the S10, which is nice. This nice pair of AKG headphones, but you need to use that because that basically becomes the FM antenna. So if you plug this in and you're not getting a very good reception, be sure to play with the antenna. It actually does a fairly good job, but just a quick note, you do need to make sure, and I always do, carry a pair of corded headphones with you if you do plan on ever needing to use this in an emergency situation. You need to be able to plug in to the headphone jack. And what's nice about the Next Radio app, it does have an output to speaker function. So in theory, you could just carry on a broken pair of headphones, a lavalier mic, basically any just cord with a 3.5mm headphone jack, with even the headphones cut off. It would just work as an antenna, and then you just can hit output to speaker, and the music or the news or whatever will come out through the main phone speakers. So you don't even need to carry a working pair of headphones if you don't need to. And so like I mentioned, this is super important to me for emergency kind of use. So a video I am working on is kind of emergency preparedness / survival tips relating to tech. I'm probably going to start with smartphones specifically. That's actually how I found out about these hidden features, the FM radio and the flashlight, for example, turning the brightness up. I actually found about those as I was researching the emergency preparedness and the tech piece of it, about what your smartphones could be used for and how they can be useful or handy in an emergency situation and things to consider. So if you're interested in that, I will be working on that video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. And of course, the other reason to subscribe is if you're interested in tech, leathercraft, EDC, and multi-tool stuff. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you later.